Hey y'all, my name's Caitlyn Smith, and I am going to be doing my presentation today on the Zebrasoma Flavescens, also more commonly known as the yellow tang. So I chose the yellow tang because I am a fish keeper, I am an aquarist, and I love fish of all kinds. I do freshwater fish, but I love saltwater fish. I always thought they were so beautiful, but I've never had any of my own. But the yellow tang is by far my favorite saltwater fish because of how cute they are. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to talk about my favorite saltwater fish, and that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the origin of the yellow tang, they live in subtropical waters and inhabit coral reefs. They're mainly found near Hawaii, but also may be found in parts of Japan. But majority of them are near Hawaii, and they are in the more shallow bodies of water in Hawaii because they prefer the water to be a little bit calmer. And you see the taxonomy here. Um, so 5 fun facts about the yellow tang. So the first one is they help sea turtles by eating the algae off their shells, which I think is super neat. Um, of course, sea turtles need all the help they can get, and I just love that these cute little fellas love to just help. Um, in aquariums, they have a lifespan of 5 to 10 years. However, in the wild, they can live for 30 years or better. So, obviously, by that, you can see that in captivity, they tend to live a lot less. Like, there is a big difference between 5 to 10 years and 30 years. And 30 years seems very long for a fish to me. Having fish of my own and seeing how long they normally last. To think about a fish or any pet whatsoever really living 30 years, I just think that is very wild. Um, they help our coral reefs stay alive by cleaning and controlling the algae on them, as well as keeping the seaweeds from killing them. So, like I said, they eat algae, and whenever coral reefs overgrow the algae, it's not good. Just like any plant, you don't want any plant to get too much of some things. So the yellow tang will come in, and with some other fishy friends, they'll eat the algae off the corals and help them thrive. And they'll keep the seaweeds at bay and keep them from choking the corals. And they're just very helpful little fish. Um, they're bright yellow during the day, but fade at night so that they can blend in better. And I think this is very cool too. So they are very bright yellow, but then at night they fade out and they become like a darker and more brownish, mustardy, brown yellow color, so that whenever it gets dark and the corals aren't as bright because of the sun, then they can go in there and they can blend in better. And they're very cute. Dog-like snouts help them eat algae easier. So, for some unique attributes about the yellow tang, they have scalpel-like spines near their tails that they use to defend themselves, and they also use them to appear larger to scare off predators. So, say a predator or anything that they're scared of comes along, or anything that just makes them feel threatened comes along, they will puff out their spines, and they will appear twice the size, and also, too, those things are sharp, and nobody's going to want to mess with them. So, that is a great survival tactic that they use to get by. Another thing is they are brightly colored, which helps them blend in more to the coral reefs. So, to the human eye, we would be able to see them very much because they're super duper bright. The water is not super bright. Yellow against the water would make them stand out to us. But to other fish and predators and other sea creatures, that is the opposite. So whenever they're in these brightly colored coral reefs, it is a lot harder for predators and other fish to see them because they're going to be bright yellow, just like some of the corals. And that helps them to blend in more and just keeps them safe. And not only that, but their bright yellow color is also a deterrent to other predators and other animals that would cause harm. So, like a lot of brightly colored, like insects and stuff like that, um, the bright colors might mean that they're poisonous or toxic. And other fish look at them and think that because they are so bright that they might not be the best thing to eat, so they'll leave them alone. So this bright color is actually very helpful to them, which is the complete opposite of what we would think because we can see them so easily because of how bright they are. And to go along with that, at night, whenever it gets dark and the sunlight isn't out to make the corals appear brighter and everything just kind of gets darker and fades out more, they do too. So they'll fade to like a dark mustardy yellow, like yellow ochre brown color, and they will go into the coral reefs to have their good night's rest. And because they fade their colors out, they are not able to be found at night either. So that is probably one of the coolest things to me about the yellow tang is how well they can adapt themselves to different lightings. And their snouts help them to eat algae and it helps them to get into tight spots either. Easier, I mean, sorry. But they have like the cutest little snouts and their snouts are very dog-like, and these little dog-like snouts and their little tiny lips, it's so cute, helps them to get into the tiniest little cracks and crevices of the corals and all the little tight spots and helps them get to the sea turtle real good and help just I just love how helpful these fish are. They're just the best. So, for ecological facts about the yellow tang, as far as diet goes, in the wild they eat nothing but algae. But in aquariums, they eat algae. They'll peck on the rocks and they'll peck on the corals and stuff like that and eat algae. But if you offer them brine shrimp, they'll most likely take it too. So there's a difference between a wild tang and an aquarium tang whenever it comes to food. But both parties will feast on some algae. It's just that's all one eats, and then the other might take a little bit more. Um, their conservation status, they're least concerned, even though they're aquarium fish. There's so many of them that they're not really worried about them. So the things that will eat the yellow tang would be crabs, octopi, and larger fish. Commercial market, as I've mentioned a lot, there is a commercial market. They're very popular amongst aquarists. One of the most popular saltwater aquarium fish. Um, I would say the probably the most popular one would be the clownfish, the classic Nemo fish. But right next to the Nemo fish would be the yellow tang. If you go into any fish store that has saltwater fish, you'll find a yellow tang. If you go into any aquarium that is saltwater, you will most likely see a yellow tang. So they're super popular, and there is a very big commercial market for them. And as far as behavior goes, they are calm, they're peaceful, and they're very, very fast, which is another thing that helps keep them from predators because they can zip around. They are super quick. But they're very calm, peaceful, sweet. They're kind of like dogs. They're just the best. So, yeah, that's my little presentation and ramble about the yellow tang. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that this presentation could make you love yellow tangs just as much as I do. Bye, y'all.